Thank you, everyone. Well, good morning and aloha. Aloha. Thank you very much for giving me some time here this morning to come here and chat with Smart Business Hawaii. And yes, Sam, I am a United States Congressman, still a politician. Give me the choice between eating and talking. I talk. But no, it's great to be with all of you here. Wanted to share with all of you a little bit about what my experience has been like being a member of the United States Congress, and more importantly, what's going on in Washington, D.C., what's happening in your nation's capital. It's been a bit of a whirlwind 3 months serving and representing the people of Hawaii in Washington. I have seen a few of you. Representative Wana, thank you for visiting me over in the Capitol. If those of you who have planned to make a trip to Washington, D.C. sometime in the future, please make sure you look me up. Over the last 3 months, I've been very, very proud and very happy to represent Hawaii. I think, for me, it is essential, it is fundamental, it is important to make sure that I am a representative from Hawaii visiting Washington, D.C., not a representative from Washington, D.C. who occasionally visits Hawaii. And toward that end, that's why I have been very aggressive and very outspoken about getting in front of the national media and making sure that the nation understands the major concerns facing the people of Hawaii. Now, of course, I think there is no bigger issue right now facing our nation than the gigantic mountain of debt that your nation is piling up. I say in jest, but only half in jest. I believe that one of my primary goals, missions, duties as a member of the United States Congress is to explain to the other members of the United States Congress from the other 49 states in the nation the true meaning of the word pake. Right now, they don't seem to get it. You know, folks, when I first got elected, I took the oath of office. I was elected in the special election on Saturday, May 22nd. I actually had flown out to Washington, D.C. The following Monday after getting elected and got sworn in that following Tuesday. On the very first day after I took the oath of office, I got one of these things here. It's my official ID card that explains that I am a member of the United States Congress. It's kind of a neat card. One of the cool things about this card is I can flash it to people and get around Secret Service. So there are 535 cards like this, 435 for the members of the House, 100 cards like this for members of the United States Senate. My first day on the job, I was sitting on the floor of the House of Representatives. And many of you probably have seen it on television. It's a big, gigantic, cavernous hall. And I'm sitting there in those fancy, cushy leather seats, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at my ID card, and it's going through my mind, and part is thinking to myself, what in the world am I doing with this thing? How did I get one of these? It's a daunting, and it is an extraordinary, and it is a humbling experience to be able to sit on the floor of the House of Representatives and see your picture on an official ID card for a member of Congress. Well, I'm sitting there on the floor of the House of Representatives, and Congressman Trent Franks of Arizona sees me there, and he sees me sitting on the floor of the House, looking at my ID card. He comes down, sits next to me, and he said he did the exact same thing when he first got elected to the Congress. And he said, as I was looking at it, he says, Congressman Djou, you know what you're looking at here? You know what this thing is? And I looked at Congressman Franks and said, well, Congressman, it's my ID card. You have one too. Please don't take mine, because I need it to vote. And he said to me, Congressman Djou, no. This is not an ID card. This is a credit card with the world's highest debt limit. And unfortunately, that is exactly what the members of the United States Congress are treating these ID cards as. This year, the U.S. House of Representatives failed to pass a budget. It is the first time in modern American history that the House is not going to pass a budget. Every single one of you here in this room, all of you here are entrepreneurs and small business owners, you know what a complete disaster it would be for your own small business not to have a budget. Now, the Congress's budget, what Congress wants to spend, is $3.8 trillion. That's trillion with a T. Put that in perspective for your own business. I mean, how many of you, how big is your annual budget? And how long could you get by if you didn't budget for your own business. But your Congress this year wants to do exactly that. What Congress is doing this year is adopted a mentality of spend, spend, and if that doesn't work, spend some more. It is as if that the spending of taxpayer resources has become the universal solution to every one of our nation's ills. If we have a problem with X, Y, or Z, just throw money at it. And keep on throwing money at it to no end. So what has that resulted in? Of course, to no surprise, enormous budget deficits. Last year, the federal government ran a budget deficit of $1.5 trillion, trillion with a T. It's the largest budget deficit in American history by a factor of 3. At the time, some people were saying, well, that was a one-time thing. You know, we had such a bad economic meltdown in the third, fourth quarter of 2008, the budget deficit exceeding $1 trillion. And for the record, the previous highest budget deficit in American history was $500 billion. People say it was one time, we're not going to experience that again. Well, you know what? A few days ago, the Congressional Budget Office said this year's budget deficit is still going to be over $1 trillion. It's going to be about $1.3 trillion. The national debt, because of this enormous amount of money that we're printing in debt that we are incurring this year, the national debt this year is going to be $13.5 trillion. $13.5 trillion. This is a staggering number. Now, I know to a lot of people when I talk to them here, when I say, you know, look at me, Congressman Djou, you talk about a $1.5 trillion budget deficit or a $13.5 trillion national debt. A lot of people say, Congressman, that's just a number with a whole lot of zeros after it. There's not a lot of personal meaning to it. What the heck does that mean? I mean, is that big? Is that small? And for most people, looking at trying to fathom $13.5 trillion national debt is just something too astronomical. Let me put it to you in personal terms. What that means to every single one of you in this room. What it means is your federal government has reached into your purse, has reached into your wallet, and grabbed your credit card and swiped $43,000 of debt for you, for every single one of you here in this room. That's what your federal government has decided to do. If you're a typical family of 4, that's nearly $200,000 per household in this nation. And I think what you've got to ask yourself is look at yourself, look at your family, and ask yourself, number one, do any of you here in this room, maybe a few of you do any of you here in this room have an extra $200,000 just lying around in your checking account doing nothing? And second, if there are a few of you who do have a few extra $100,000 lying around in your checking account, would you be spending money in the same fashion that your federal government is currently spending money? I am enormously troubled by this enormity of this national debt because I believe this is the single biggest long-term issue facing our nation today. I am very, very concerned with the federal government piling up this enormous, enormous national debt. We may very well be the first generation in American history to leave the next generation worse off. This is extraordinarily daunting, and this is very, very serious. Let me give you some specific examples here of what Congress is doing, examples of what I think is going wrong. A great example of this here is a few weeks ago, Congress, we went into session to extend unemployment benefits. Now, I know the economy is tough right now. Our national unemployment rate is 9.75%. It's very, very high and has remained very, very high for nearly 2 years now. Congress wanted to extend unemployment benefits out to 99 weeks to allow certain individuals to be able to stay on unemployment for almost 2 years. Now, I think to a lot of people that's a very long time. For a lot of you here in small business, I think if you're an entrepreneur and you have the entrepreneurial spirit, the whole idea of staying on unemployment benefits for 2 years, I think is probably a little bit of anathema to you. But hold that aside here. The way we decided to pay for this, the way we decided to pay for this extension of unemployment benefits in the federal government was to finance it with deficit spending, okay? What's going to happen here this year in 2010 is we're going to extend out those unemployment benefits, and I think the ultimate number was about additional, something like 12, 14 weeks of additional unemployment benefits. Those unemployment benefits are going to be consumed, entirely consumed, this year in 2010. Indeed, we're going to run out by this coming November. Okay? All the money that Congress had just appropriated in July that we're going to shovel into unemployment benefits, all going to be consumed, all going to be spent by this July. But my daughter, who's entering 2nd grade this year, she is going to pay for those benefits when she reaches my age. She's going to start paying and continue paying by the time she reaches my age. What's going on here is all of the adults here in this room, we are spending money. We are consuming this spending now, right now, in 2010. But the bill is going to all the kids who just started going to school earlier this month. Take a look at all the kids you see in elementary school, okay? All the kids who went into school this morning. All of them are going to pay for all this spending that all of us here, all of us adults, are consuming right now. I believe that is wrong. I believe that is irresponsible, and that's why I voted against this. I don't believe that we can continue to increase the size of our budget deficit. I don't believe that we can continue to rack up and increase this national debt to no end, with no strings attached, with no responsibility. I am troubled that our government today has adopted a policy of a willingness to spend to no end to protect a government job, to defend a government handout, but is unwilling to do anything to create, preserve, or protect a private sector job. And that, I think, at its core, ladies and gentlemen, is what's going wrong in the United States Congress today. For myself, I think what the philosophical divide that I see going on in our Congress is I personally have far more faith in hundreds of millions of Americans making decisions about how to spend a few $100s more than faith in a few hundred bureaucrats deciding how to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. You want to know what's at stake at this coming November election? That's it. That's what's at stake here.